G'day, my name's Michael and I'm from My Lead Engineer. I'm up at Mount Kembla at the moment in the bush, surrounded by our special protected catchment area, and one of our dams is just over there. It's a lovely place to come, and if you have a look, the sun's going down. Behind me you might see a really good set through the trees there. Looks pretty nice. Anyway, so I'm here for the moment just to have a bit of a stroll, get out, a bit of exercise. I haven't been leaving the house too much at all, and anyway, so I thought I'd knock two birds off with one stone and have a bit of a walk and a bit of a chat. So I wanted to talk about thought. Now, it's a very small concept. I just want to talk about the idea of it really. And why is thought, let me just chuck that there, rest it. Okay, so why is thought important? Well, before we can do anything, we need to have a clear mind. And just want you to raise your hands. How many of you out there prepare your mind and your ability to have clarity of thought before you get stuck into any task? I'll put my hand up. Did I do it all the time? Nah, I had to learn that I needed to do it. So how many of you out there, raise your hand if you go for a walk around the block. You know, you leave the office, go for a walk, and then come back in and go, right, I'm ready to go. How many of you take time out and sit on your phone and look at it before you get into an activity? How many of you, I can't see any hands going up, so I'm guessing there's some going up, or you're thinking about putting it up and all that sort of thing. How many of you out there, and raise your hand for this one, do nothing before you get into a task? So a really useful tool to clear your mind before getting into a task is to put yourself in a position of boredom. And why would that be? Why would you want to make yourself bored? Well, bored is about doing nothing, and as I tell my little ones, nothing is something. In putting our mind in a place of doing nothing, frees it of every distraction that it has. And even when I was out here, like I've been out here walking up and down here for a good hour, and I had to get all of the distractions of the day out of my mind before I started making some sort of sense and recording something that hopefully might be useful for you. That, and also my lips were so cold from riding up here on my bike that I had to let my mouth warm up because I couldn't even say my name properly. Anyway, so putting yourself into a state of boredom removes all those distractions. Now let's think of two things. You've got the conscious and the subconscious. And from what I've learned from various places, you know, the conscious puts all of our words and or thoughts into words, and also it's the place where we do our thinking vocally. You know, you'll think in some sort of language. So people who know more than one language might be talking in English, but if Spanish is their native language, well then they might think in Spanish and then have to translate and then translate in English. So they're doing twice as much work as everyone else. So that's where the conscious thought, that's where we do a lot of processing and short-term things. Simply speaking, I'm an engineer, not a psychologist. I'm just trying to convey an idea here that might be useful. But let's think of the subconscious. So if you've ever had a vibe, if you've ever thought about or used the term the sixth sense, or if you've ever talked about intuition, we could think of this as, you know, using the subconscious. Now, from what I've learned and from people who know all about this, is that the subconscious doesn't think with words. The subconscious thinks with, you know, actually I don't know what it thinks with because it doesn't think with words. It's not, I've just gotten stuck in mud. My subconscious told me not to walk through the mud while I was talking, and now I'm really stuck. but mud is awesome, and it's a lot of fun. So, subconscious. With distraction, you might find that you can't utilize the benefits that your subconscious can provide you in thought. And you know, at first, if you're not used to doing that, it would take some practice. It could take you a year of practice to actually get to use your subconscious well. But how do you also put your subconscious into use for you in everyday tasks? Well, that requires a lot of practice, you know, and there's elements of it. You know, there's about gaining knowledge and elevating your capability in certain things. And part of what my lead engineer does, you know, we provide professional engineering services and advice and all that sort of thing. We also provide the educational programs to elevate people's capability and help them get from A to B, B being a future position, you know, the ideal place that they want to be. But we also look at focusing on the individual as well, because the tool that we have to do all that work is our mind. Whether you're a tradesperson or an engineer, no matter what we do, what we design, what we create, it all comes from here. And so it's about starting with ourselves as the first place of conditioning before we move on to doing the tasks that we need to do. So there's just a couple of things for you. So you've got the you know, the conscious mind, removing all the short-term distractions, Facebook, going getting a coffee. Actually, you know, getting rid of stimulants and stuff like that is also helpful, like coffee and sugary products and all that sort of thing. But then learning to adapt your subconscious to your day-to-day and putting your mind in a place and yourself in a place where you can utilize that part of you know, that part of thought that you can, you know, part of your mind where that thought comes from. And then from there, it's about doing the interpretation. So if I'm, you know, I spoke a minute ago about someone being able to have two languages, speaking English and Spanish, for instance. You also need to be able to learn how to translate from, you know, that thought from your subconscious into your conscious and put it into something practical. It's a skill. However, you know, it's a really good place to start. You know, we've got a lot of benefit out of it over the years, and had a lot of good feedback from people who we've brought on that sort of journey. But it's only one element of what we do. It's a very small piece of the puzzle. You know, so it's all about, you know, the philosophies, the concepts, you know, the theory and then the principles about what we do and then how we do it and all that sort of thing. But it all starts from here. So that's what I thought I'd just mention a little bit about thought. We also go into in two of the programs that we do. We go right into critical thinking and lateral thinking, and using that and adapting that and getting practiced at critical thinking. It's you know, some people are pretty good at it, but it's also a skill that can be learned. So, you know, getting that thought process down, but before even getting a process down, getting your mind in a place where it can work the best. So that's where we go back to, you know, let's have a 360. We'll go back to where we started from in this chat. So if you chill out on Facebook, or you chill out on LinkedIn or some sort of website, or if you chill out just by walking around the block, or if you chill out by, you know, taking your dog for a walk or something like that. One thing to think about, and I'm just saying think about it, is think about how many distractions do you have while you're doing that, and count them. So as an exercise. So one day I used to commute to Sydney on the train, you know, and it was 2 hours each way. And I got a clicker because, you know, when you're going around on site and you have to count things, you have a little clicker so that you know where you're up to, because someone might say, "Hey, Michael, I want to take your attention for a minute," and I forget where I was. So I got the clicker and I thought, I'm going to count how many people I go past on the train, stations and everything, that I see doing this, looking at their phone. So the first thing I think is they're missing all of this. Then, even if you're in the city, it doesn't matter. You're missing everything that's happening around you. But also, you're conditioning your mind to be distracted. You know, and that's the last thing that's of any use if you want to be an engineer or a skilled tradesperson, or anyone who does elements of design and engineering. You know, it's relative to the whole people in those sorts of businesses. So if I'm reading my phone and looking at news and reading updates and all that sort of thing in the morning, I've already put my mind in a place of distraction. And it's a stimulant like coffee or caffeine, you know. It's a stimulant like caffeine, and then your mind needs time to settle down. So you imagine for people who've got kids, you think about, or we all know what it's like to be a kid. When it's getting close to bedtime, the last thing I would want to do is give children lemonade, you know, because it's not fair. I'm going to give them a little bit of a sugar high before I say go to bed and close your eyes. It wouldn't be good to let them play video games, because that's a stimulant, you know. Watching some sort of TV program that's stimulating, you know. What's a really good way to get them into bed? Read them a book, give them back rubs, head rubs, all that sort of thing, and put them in a state. You're not putting them in a state of boredom like I was talking about a minute ago, but you're putting them in a state of getting rid of all of those distractions, and also you're relaxing them. So, when you think about a time that you've been on a capital projects are full of these really active, intense moments where something hasn't gone quite right and you've got to sort it out, and it takes more hours than it should, and it just goes on and on and on. Well, being in a fabrication workshop is no different. Fabrication workshops one person can have 30 jobs on the go. Being in maintenance could be the worst of them all, because with maintenance it doesn't have a deadline. You can't turn it off because that machine needs to keep running. And you've only got windows of opportunities, whether it's seasonal or based on production, to actually do things. So you want to be as productive as you can. So so I just wanted to convey some sort of experience that I've had with this and benefit, just a small chat really about some benefits that I've gained from looking at what I think about, is just removing those distractions, those stimulants, and putting myself in a place where, I'm verging on perhaps being bored. But that you might feel bored at the start, because, as soon as you don't have that stimulant, you feel bored straight away. You might feel bored if you're only just starting to practice. If you decide to start practicing these techniques, you might put your phone down. 30 seconds later, you're bored already. But then keep practicing. 5 minutes later, you might feel bored. And then 10 minutes later, you'll feel bored. And then you might work out, well, I don't really need that stuff, and I feel a lot better without it. And when I go to do my work, I'm more in the zone. It's easier to get in the zone of what you need to do if you don't have those distractions. And distractions, they're everywhere. What's another distraction? Email. Let's think about for a minute what it was like for people before, or I was going to say 1996, when email started to become commonplace. Well, 1996, I remember, people would come to school and go, my dad's got an email here, I'm going to swap my emails with you. Now it's like, then it was phone numbers, and then it was, MySpace accounts, thanks for the ad, and it just keeps going on and on. But back then it was email. And we didn't really know how to use email. People, again, probably about my age or so, or older, would know what a generic email is and all that sort of stuff. And the guy in that engineering company that lost his mug, we all know about that. But it went around on email, So how is email used these days? It's used in a variety of ways. But think about, is it a distraction? How much of your time do you spend writing emails and answering emails and all that sorts of stuff? Think about, what did people do in 1933 when they built, the newest lighthouse at Wollongong, because we've got 2 lighthouses. The first one didn't shine over the hill, and then they realised, oh, we better build another one. So in 1933, when that one thing was completed, I bet you they didn't use one email. And they got it done. They didn't have computers, they didn't have a lot of things. How did they do that work? Well, relative to their day, they would have had some sort of distraction, but not to the level that we have, I would guess. And also things weren't as fast-paced. But when we say fast-paced at what level of efficiency? And that's the other catch. So if you're working in hand up if you've worked in a high-performance team. So a high-performance team gets its efficiency from not being distracted, and it comes around by getting the mind in the place before you start work. And anyway, so long story short, and this is, like I said, I'm just going for a wander, and if you're still listening in, achieving this sort of thing, and we can support you in achieving this, and also putting it into effect in your business and all that sort of thing, per individual, per company, and look at the outcomes at the end of the day. But it's not just about what you can benefit from in the workplace. Like, whatever you can benefit from in the workplace, you can benefit from personally as well. Because what we spend, around about 8 hours a day at work at least, sometimes 16. If you're in the office and time goes, or you might just be at home thinking about it, then you sort of think, well, why are you thinking about it? For so many hours a day. And so if you can achieve that sort of efficiency and skill at thought and all that sort of thing, it's just a starting point. It's a very first starting point. Then what can you achieve at work, but also at home? And what would it give you that you might not have right now? And it could just be being relaxed. It could be getting rid of worry and being happy. It could be confidence. It's a starting point to just about everything. Comes from here. So at My Lead Engineer, we don't profess to be psychologists. We do have we do know a few really good ones who specialise in these sorts of things. But we're focused on the engineering and getting the outcomes and being able to get a team to perform. That is, if we're not delivering the work holeless bolus ourselves. But that element of the mind is the starting point. An analogy would be, and cars are great for analogy. Actually, where'd I park? I can't remember. Good thing my bike's yellow. Hopefully it stands out. So an analogy would be, you take a car, a carbureted car, and you want to get it to go a bit faster. It's running a bit slow, and so where do you start? Well, it gets its energy from the fuel. The fuel goes into the carburetor. Look at the carburetor. Yeah. What goes into the carburetor apart from the fuel? Air. So look at that. And if you think about it, with a fuel injected car, that fuel and that air is governed by the ECU. So if the ECU doesn't work, the part that does all the thinking, that car is going to run like a sack of potatoes. So anyway, I think I'll end it there because it's getting dark and I should get home and it's going to be freezing on the way home. But I just wanted to sort of share that because I'm sure there's a handful of people out there who haven't thought about that. And maybe it's worth a bit of a consider. And I'm talking about not just professional engineers or managers or, technologists. I'm talking about, tradespeople, supervisors, leading hands, everyone that's involved in that sort of process. Starting with what you do here can yield some great things with practice and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and yeah, I wonder where I did put my bike. I've been out here yapping to myself so much. Like usually the birds are going off and the frogs are out. Like if I stood still for about 15 minutes, the frogs would start going off and whatnot, but they're dead quiet because I'm out here going blah 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 in their habitat. Oh, there it is, right where I left it. Okay, well, thanks for the chat. Every week or two I'll be doing some more chats. You know, they're just ideas, you know, low level, low lying fruit, but stuff nonetheless that hopefully could get some good ideas going for you, with things that you want to improve on and achieve in your future. Like I said, where I am is the present, and I can, in my present position, I can be in that same position in the future, or I could be in a different position in the future, an elevated position. And it doesn't have to be a big step, but little steps make a lot of difference over time. So all the best, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay.
me, this is like zen time. Being in the bush, nice and quiet, is great. Something about listening to an engine. So relaxing. Apple orchard up here. There's 2 apple orchards. I used to come up here when I was a kid and get apples all the time, and my grandparents used to get apples up here all the time, and the orchards have been shut down for quite some years now. I think at least 10 years, maybe even 15. Yeah, I was just sort of to my left, around here somewhere. I can't remember exactly, but it's around here somewhere. And so that land, from what I understand, is part of the catchment area. And if you look on Google Earth, you'll be able to see the remnants of the orchard. You'll see some trees and stuff like that, some apple trees. Therapy time. This is lovely. So talking about doing nothing, you could use, if you're looking for a mantra or something, I'm going to get all D&M for a minute, because you could use a mantra. You could use the sound of this motorbike as your mantra and just concentrate on it and nothing else. Don't think about when I'm changing gears, don't think about when I'm speeding up or slowing down. Just listen to the drone of the engine, because that drone is like any other sort of drone that you could use to center some thoughts on, to getting to no distraction. So that's why I think I'll leave this portion of the video attached to that little chat that I did a few minutes ago as your therapy time. Maybe it could be a little bit of practice to doing nothing for however long, my 10 minutes that I put on, to try and listen to the whole thing for 10 minutes. I guarantee you're going to be bored, but that's the point. It's okay to be bored. And you can get a lot of value out of being bored in time. It takes practice, but you can achieve some great things. Boredom's just a starting place. You won't be bored for long once you get practiced at it. Going down Cordo Road, we're coming to a lookout here. It's a nice lookout. Looks over Lake Illawarra. Look at that. Look at that. That's stunning. Beautiful. So I used to let me put it in neutral for a minute. Alright. Okay, we're going on a tour. So I used to, still on, yeah, it's good. Alright, I used to ride a jet ski, stand-up jet ski, from the other side over there as Berkeley. Okay, so Berkeley, what we can see just in front of us there, I'm probably pointing in the wrong direction, but the screen on my camera's turned off. is Hooker, probably. And then you can see, you might not be able to see, there's a flashing red light down there. That's Tallawarra Power Station. It's Kembla Grange just down there. So just over the other side of the road there, you got the race course. You can just sort of see it, maybe depending on the lens. And then all the way over to the other side, you got Oak Flats. And so it takes 7 minutes to go from one side to the other. Was it 7 kilometres across, or 9 kilometres. No, it took about 15. Somewhere between 7 and 15 minutes. Anyway, really exciting, important tour trivia knowledge that you can take away and do nothing with. But you say, hey, I know it took that guy like 7 minutes to do that on a jet ski. Whoop. There we go. Oh. Where are we? There we go. Mountain biking around here. Good trails. Windy Gully we're coming up to. So Windy Gully Cemetery we're coming up to. And it's a lot of good stuff. Good stuff there. I can't say for as long as I've lived here, which is forever minus 2 years, that I've ever been to Windy Gully, because I'm terrible with directions. And I always think that I've gone further than I really have. And as a kid, you know, with no GPS, no maps or anything like that, I could never find it. However, getting lost is awesome, and I found loads of other cool stuff. So we just passed the cemetery there. A couple of people coming up to the lookout. And there's a path up there that goes. I used to live somewhere else, which is at the bottom of this mountain, and there's a path that goes all the way down to the bottom of the mountain. I tried to go from my place up the mountain. I got lost. That didn't work out so well. So there you go. Alright, so I think we'll take short therapy time or long therapy time. What's that? What do you reckon? Long therapy time? Okay, we're turning left. Alright, so where we're going to go is we're going to go through Kembla Heights Village. And then we're going to go down Mount Kira. So if you've got a mountain bike or some sort of bicycle, come riding along here. It's a lovely ride. I used to do it all the time when I was a kid. Oh, street lights came on. That means I have to be home. You know, parents say you've got to be home by the time the street lights come on. Anyway, bowls club there. No one bowling today. Probably a good thing. So I used to go from the bottom of the mountain up here. I used to go up that dirt road that we just came down, and then across a fire trail that takes us to the motocross, which you'll see in a few minutes. And then we used to go to another fire trail, which is just up here, and then go down Mount Nebo, or we used to go down Mount Kira, which is where we're going to go, because you can't go down Mount Nebo anymore in a vehicle. They closed it off because people were losing their vehicles down a 30-metre ravine, or they were dumping cars down there. It was a bit of a shame, so I got blocked off. So just down here, there's down there, there's a little public picnic area, and oh no, here, little picnic area, and once upon a time, I my uncle asked me if I would help him mow it because he's a volunteer in a charity organisation and they volunteered to mow it. And I went, yeah, sure, that'll be awesome. Hang out with my uncle, sounds like fun. And he didn't tell me that he sold his Victor, his 2-stroke lawnmower, and bought a manual push barrel mower. And the grass was 2 feet tall. And I was excited to use a manual barrel mower because I'm like, yeah, never used one of these before. But when I got there, man, I was so disappointed. But I did it. I mowed at least, I don't know, 20 square meters. And then someone came along with a whippersnipper and helped out. That was a relief. So we're going along Harry Graham Drive. Just to my right, you won't be able to see it, but if you look to your right, is the Dendrobium mine. You can see from here the stockpile for the train loadout, the Dendrobium mine, which is, I suppose, all underneath us. Lovely view up here. It's not a good place to stop though, otherwise I'd stop and give you a look. Alright, I'm going to open my sleeve here because, oh, that's better. Tell you what, wearing a wristwatch with a leather jacket, that's the worst. Alright, so there's that fire trail right there on your right, so that'll take you to Mount Nebo. That's a really nice walk. I think you can take a bicycle on there, you'd have to read the sign. So we don't want to do wheelies, that's not cool on the road. What it does mean though is I'll probably wear my tyres out a bit quicker rather than that if I had a push drive, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, they last long enough. So being winter, the sun's going down pretty quick. What's the time? 22 past 5. Down and stuff, we had really strong winds, what did it be last week, a bit of rain. You got to be careful up here though, the road's always damp and mossy, so for any motorcyclist or even cyclist like a bicycle, always be careful because it's really slippery. Time going, yeah? Have you made it this far in the video? Or have you gotten bored? And have you left the video already? Well, if you've heard my question, you're doing well because you're getting through that boredom. Because yeah, hey, it can be pretty bored watching some dude ride his motorbike home. Riding the motorbike home. It's about being content with doing nothing. I'm not doing nothing right now, I'm having fun. Oh. Keep looking for gear number 6 on a 5-speed. Old habits. covered, took a while. Number of trails that you can walk on. Not for cyclists though, they're national park trails. You're supposed to ride bikes on it. Yeah, avoid getting distracted. That's what it's about. So we passed the scout camp a while ago. Coming up to the archery range just on my left, and on my right is the Girl Guides camp. I don't know if it's still called Girl Guides. Scout camp has been brigade, yeah, on our left. You're doing well. Well done. Pat yourself on the back. You've gotten through the boredom. A good 10 minutes or so. The boredom, yep. If you're feeling bored, that's okay. Perfectly fine to feel bored. Oh, don't go anywhere in neutral.